welcome. We have to the PMI 35th anniversary, and part of our 35th anniversaries, we're interviewing the past presidents of PMI Rochester. And today we have Judy Frye. Thank you so much, Judy, for joining us. Your past presidency was from 2003 to 2004, so we're definitely going to dig back into those memory banks and find out what some of the fun stuff that you did during those years. One of the questions, so first of all, I want to say welcome before we dive in.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Thank you. Pleasure. I'm very proud and excited to participate in this great anniversary. So thank you.
You are so welcome, and thank you for everything that you have given us. In looking at your history, you were part of PMI from Rochester from 1990 up through your presidency, and then you probably had a board position after that, correct?
No, I didn't. My career kind of took a change, and I became director of a business analyst group. So I kind of moved from the PMI to business analysis and had a whole team that I wanted to get certified as business analysts. So I became more focused on that. It kind of took a turn, and I was actually then more in a business leadership role rather than project program management. So it just kind of transitioned away from the actual practice and less involved in PMI after that.
Why don't we go ahead and go back and go down through history? First of all, so what got you into project management? And then I would love to hear the comparisons between project management and BA and what your thoughts are and how they pair so beautifully and dovetail together, and yet how very different they are, and yet how integral they are to the company. So let's start with your history. Let's start with, how did you get involved with PMI Rochester? How did that happen? Uh-oh, Judy, I think we lost your audio. Can you say that one more time?
I have an IT background.
Okay, we can hear you.
So I was involved in IT back when I was in the Navy in the late 70s. So it's a long time. I moved to Rochester in 1980, and I was doing computer operations, and I moved into programming, and I joined a consulting firm called Computer Task Group. And with them, I was given the opportunity to grow pretty quickly from coding and business analysis to project management and then program management. And we had some specialty functions that we sold to clients, such as application maintenance while a company is moving from a old platform to a new platform. It was kind of like an application hospice, you know, support the legacy systems while the company developed their people, got their people trained, and implemented SAP or some enterprise like software like that. So I managed those groups that we moved in, did transition, and took over support. So it was a lot of different ways that I used project management and program management through Computer Task Group. And they placed me at Citibank at one point, and I was working on some large-scale programs that they were replacing systems, putting in automation where they didn't have automation, like application consolidation and things like that. So I worked at Student Loan Corporation in Rochester, and it was a unique experience. It was partially owned by Citibank, but not 100%. So we were able to be autonomous in a lot of ways, and it was like a mom and pop shop where we hats, do many things. Had some new management brought in that valued the business analyst part of IT development and wanted to have more of an emphasis and expertise in that area. So we had a team that was business project managers and technical project managers And they did an evaluation of the resources available, and 6 of the business project managers were moved to a BA role.
Huh.
Yeah, it was an interesting change for them. Some were happy, some were not.
Right.
But because they had worked on the business side and had that familiarity with requirements that needed to be translated into IT and program requirements, it turned out pretty well. And we ended up hiring 6 others. So I had a team of 12, and I became the director of the business analyst team. So it kind of changed the course of my career a little bit. But I found a lot of similarities between PMI, the emphasis on process and consistency, on having different steps in the process, validating the steps before you move forward, getting all of the stakeholders involved, communication, timely status, everything that, is a part of PMI and the project management process was very similar to the BA process.
Okay. Okay. And I know we're making some inroads here in Rochester to continue to marry that project manager and BA relationship through PMI Rochester. So this is really fabulous to hear. I'm sorry, something completely, you just said it so quickly, and I need to go back a little bit.
Okay.
A lady in the Navy in the 70s?
Yes.
How did that happen?
That is a crazy story. I was actually an art major when I went to college, New Paltz State.
Okay.
I lasted a year and a half and I dropped out. I'm not proud of it, but it just wasn't working and I didn't know what else I was passionate about at the time. And I ended up getting an opportunity to go to France as an au pair for a year. So I went to France. I had the most amazing year. I was like 21, turned 21 while I was in France. I went on a holiday to Mallorca with a friend I made who was teaching English in a French high school. She was from Iowa. While we were in Mallorca, 6 ships of American Navy were in Palma Harbor. And we had the most fabulous time, our own little USO tour. And I had some serious discussions with the guys that, were looking forward to getting their education during and after being in the Navy and all the benefits it could offer. And I just decided almost right then and there that that's what I would pursue after I got back home after my year in France. And that's what I did.
Wow.
And they gave me an aptitude test and told me that computer science was what I should be trained in. And I said, okay. So they sent me to school and after boot camp and all that. And it's still my career. So I guess they were right.
That's amazing. That is, what an amazing story. Because what young woman at that time just takes off and says, I'm going to go be an au pair in France. And it's so rare. And then, I'm just going to talk to these 6 ships of, men who've been out to sea, God knows. Oh man, that's awesome. That is.
I was very, very fortunate in the Navy. I went to boot camp in Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
I went to school in San Diego, California. And then I tours in Hawaii. Yeah. Yes. I had an angel on my shoulder. I really.
The universe was definitely coming together for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, after the Navy and after you got out, how did you get involved in PMI Rochester?
It was after I joined Computer Task Group, and there were other people in Computer Task Group, and it was supported by the company. So membership and going to conferences was fully supported.
Okay.
They felt it was a very marketable skill and talent and exposure. Okay. And that's, I went to a few meetings and found it to be really interesting because it wasn't just IT, project program management. And I really appreciated that kind of exposure and listening to presentations and looking for people to present at the meetings, because I did programs before I was president, and was always, looking for an interesting take and aspect and focus from a project program management for our sessions, our lunches and stuff.
What was your first role in the chapter?
I think it was programs chair. Yeah,
Program
I did it
chair?
a couple of years, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
But I like to plan a party, so.
That's the best role, right? Who doesn't like to plan a party?
Exactly.
We need to get to next year so we can actually have parties again, right? Um, I want to bring you back. You had mentioned COVID. I want to make sure that folks that are listening understand what that means. Would you mind sharing with the viewers just a quick definition of what that is?
There was some interference and I couldn't hear what you said.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You had mentioned in building the into the process that these 6 other countries already had built into. I think you called it COVID.
Oh, COVID. Yeah.
COVID. Would you mind sharing with the viewers the definition of COVID, what that is, just briefly?
I'm probably going to be a little rusty explaining it, but
COVID
pretty much defines every type of technology process you would need in a technology organization, whether it's infrastructure, security, et cetera, et cetera. It covers everything, and it created a very detailed technical standard that a lot of businesses adhered to at first, and then kind of built on that and created their own version of it, which is what City did. But you can still see references to COVID. Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure we drew out that distinction, especially in this time period of COVID.
COVID, yes.
And so I wanted to ensure folks knew what we were referencing and why. And yes,
good point.
So thank you very much. One of the things that we love to talk about is when we're talking about a volunteer organization that you put years of and hours of your life into. So that comes to, there's a joy there for nonprofits that I find. What are some of the other extracurricular or any kind of nonprofit or extracurricular hobbies that supported that joy that you had in giving?
Oh, wow. I'll specifically speak to getting to Asia. And I don't know if it's exactly the same, but when I first got to Asia, it was such culture change, even though Singapore is Asia 101. It's a total melting pot of cultures. Asia, Europe, all over. Once I had my work life kind of settled and organized and felt confident that I knew my role and knew my team and knew what we needed to accomplish, I was talking to one of the city HR representatives that I had worked with during my move, and saying, my social life was kind of not happening. And he suggested that I look into internations.org. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No.
But it's a networking organization for people who have traveled away from home for work. So they're not living in their homeland, home city, expat kind of lifestyle originally. Was founded in Germany. internations.org. So I found out about it. I started going to meetings, and um, it was primarily social initially, but they had a lot of special interest groups, and they had a lot of business people that were marketing themselves and looking for, say, financial management clients or things like that. But I met some of the most amazing people that I've met in my whole life through internations.org that will be friends forever. And it was the perfect way to get out into a safe environment with
Uh-huh.
a bunch of different people that were very, very much people persons,
Yes.
who, would step up and introduce themselves and start a conversation and pretty much expect you to do the same.
Yes.
Um, they also encouraged young people, university people, to look for mentors or people in a career they thought they might be interested in, to carry on conversations. And we had different social occasions.
Yep.
The Singapore chapter grew tremendously while I was a part of it, while I was there. And it just shows that kind of common bond,
Mhm.
whether it's project management, program management, or it's being an expat, it's living in a new country, in a new environment and culture, how you can find like-minded people
Yes.
and get support and make friends through those organizations. So it was a great experience for me.
And what I hear is that as much joy and value that you receive from giving to a nonprofit organization, it gives back and giving you
Oh,
that
absolutely.
community. That's a
Absolutely.
beautiful thing.
Yeah.
While well, first I wanted to, we're heading to a close. Is there anything else that, before I ask my last question, that you would like to share with our members and our hopefully soon new members?
I think project management, the essence of understanding where you start, what do you do next, the people aspects, the process aspects, the timing, status reporting, whether it's just telling your husband where we are in this project or telling a president of a company where we are in this project, um, is applicable to just about everything we do in life. I mean, I have a totally different role now, working for information security, cybersecurity at Citi. It's somewhat a process role as well, because we have a security application security testing standard that we own and need to maintain and constantly needs to be updated based on new technologies and what's happening in the world and what the bad actors out there are doing and what we
Oh,
need to be testing against. So it's
yes.
very, very similar. So
What an exciting space, because the
yes.
technology is changing all the time. Here I thought we were coming to a close, and we're not, because you just threw out another exciting turn in your career. So you came back from
Yeah.
Singapore in about 2016?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And
I stayed with the same group because I had moved to the information security, the Secure SDLC group, while I was in Singapore,
okay.
because North America took over the process team
Okay.
completely. So our team phased out, and I had to help those team members find other jobs and roles, either in
Wow.
Citi or outside Citi. So that was a tough time, but everybody worked it out. And once everybody was taken care of, I had relationship with the director of the team for Secure SDLC, and he reached out to me, and I said, hey, I'm going to be available. So I moved over to his team, and I was the Asia lead for Secure SDLC until I left in 2016. Funny enough, the real reason I left is Singapore has mandatory retirement. and I would have been out of a job if I had stayed another year. So I talked to my boss and I said, I think it's time for me to move back because I'm not ready to stop working.
Goodness.
Yes.
Oh, well, we don't have that here, do we?
No, thank God. Thank God.
That'd make quite a few people frustrated, because it is the passion and the joy that you have for your career and your career path. It comes right through, and nobody wants. That's part of your life. It's not a job. It's not a career. It's your life.
True.
So,
It's very
so
true.
you were able to relocate back into Florida?
Yep. They told me I'd be in Tampa because they were moving a lot of information security people to Tampa, and I'd never lived here, worked here before, but I absolutely love it. Absolutely. It's been very, very good for me since I moved back in 2016.
That is fabulous. Fabulous. So one of the through lines that I keep hearing, which is a lady can join the Navy and have a great career, is and how important it is to listen and to let the universe also help guide you. But for you, what I'm also hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, or if please modify and add, but it's really people and process, and just
People and process. Yes. Yes. Excuse me. And not being afraid to take chances. Trust your gut.
yes.
Be a leader.
And I think that's another webinar we might want to have with you, which is how do you find that confidence to be a leader and be that servant leader that our roles demand of us, and guide those projects and programs in a way in different cultures and in different areas and different industries. And how do we bring those skill sets forward and have confidence within ourselves to bring those skill sets forward. So we're coming back to you.
Oh, that's so nice. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for your time. So appreciate
My pleasure.
it. Very much appreciate. So everyone, this is Judy Frye. Thank you, past president of PMI Rochester. And we will hopefully be talking to her again soon.
Thank you, Christine. Bye.
Bye.